Hello, all of you beautiful people, and yes, I am talking to you too. My name is Alex Janssen. I wanted to welcome you guys back to my channel, or welcome you for the first time if you're just dropping in. And I wanted to welcome everyone to a new installment on my channel that will be called Wake Up, Makeup, and Bake Up, where I'll spend a weekend morning getting, ready, trying out a new makeup look, and also trying out a new recipe as well. Just wanted to combine two things that I really enjoy doing. So I hope you guys enjoy chilling with me, and I know I'll have fun doing it too. So let's get started. Today, I specifically wanted to try a red lip because I haven't been too adventurous with lip color ever. If I wear lip color, it's typically a dark color like brown or even black. It makes me more comfortable than trying a bright red or pink. And I have worn reds, it's just been more of the wine, like deeper toned reds. So I went for a bright one today, baby. I went to Sephora and I said, this is what I'm looking for. Help me, please. Now, one thing about this week that sucked was that I was on my period. I'm still getting off of it. So you can kind of see the remnants of a period breakout. I squeezed that one when I knew I shouldn't have. A few more kind of on my cheeks where I typically get them. So all of that to say, I was kind of wanting to see if there was a tinted moisturizer that had a little bit more coverage than my Glossier typically does. Because don't get me wrong, I love Glossier and I love their skin tint, but I feel like it doesn't wear super long, especially with me, someone that typically has oily skin, and especially whenever I'm wearing makeup, it becomes an oil slick throughout the day. I noticed that it definitely didn't look as good as it did whenever I first put it on, like even 4 to 6 hours into wearing it, which doesn't really bother me too much because I typically don't apply too much Glossier just because I like the natural finish. But sometimes, because that's all I've been wearing now, I don't use foundation anymore. Whenever I do need more coverage in times like this, whenever I have breakouts or have given myself new acne scars and they haven't faded at all yet, I want something that, actually does a better job at covering that to where I don't have to go crazy with concealer. So I did my research. I looked into other skin tints, and I have seen ILIA, pop up on ads and Instagram and recommendations and such. I didn't know if it was just, their marketing scheme, if they spend a bunch of money on ads, but I did find a few different articles where the ILIA, tinted moisturizer was at the top of the list. So I figured, why the hell not? Why not try it? And also, kind of along the skin journey part of it, I decided to kind of scrap Curology within the past week just because I feel like my skin over the past few months just hasn't really been responding to it at all. And I kind of have a shaky history with using any medicated things on my skin. I've been to the dermatologist when I was a teenager, and benzoyl peroxide really ripped up my forehead. It's made it like way darker than the rest of my face. I've tried, what was the really big brand of, just commercial, like dermatology skincare? I'm not going to be able to think of it right now, but I've really tried a lot of different things and they seem to kind of work for a while, but I feel like after I use it for around a year, I either hit a wall or it starts to actually damage my skin just from the amount of chemicals that are in it. So all of that to say, I've kind of just uprooted my whole skincare routine, and I was also looking for, the moisturizer to have a serum, an SPF as a bonus, and that ILIA skin tint is a serum moisturizer, tinted moisturizer, and SPF all in one, which is super nice. Don't mean to flip you guys off. Sheesh. This week, I feel like I've just been kind of getting my shit together in general. I don't know if it's the turn in weather. We've been able to go up to the park that's like a 5-minute walk from our apartment more often, take bike rides, and literally just getting that, just the fresh air alone has been making me feel like a better person. I just kind of was like, I need to get all my shit together. I have so many ideas for the YouTube channel. I need to do my taxes. I need to make like a 3-month plan. I need to look into grad school. I need to repair the windshield of my car. What else can be done? I need to finish, decorating the deck outside. I've literally started so many projects within the past week. I feel like someone needs to tell me to sit down. I like it. I feel like I have this new energy, which is, I don't know if it's just coming out of the COVID slump in general, but it feels like a new day this season, this spring. I'm ready for it. I'm ready to spend a bunch of time with my friends. I'm ready to spend a bunch of time outdoors. I think it's going to be a good time. Speaking of other cool things to happen recently, Ketanji Brown Jackson being confirmed, first Black woman that's going to be on the Supreme Court. That's pretty awesome. That's pretty cool. I just had to mention that for no specific reason. I mean, I feel like I'm just kind of going through my week. It's just kind of like a verbal journal. I think it's time for the bronzer. It's time to shape her up. Now, what'll be tough is not removing too much of the concealer that I just put down whenever I blend this in. That's always the tough deal. Yeah, I know in past videos I've done this with my fingers. I think I've realized it tends to remove a lot of the concealer that I just work so hard to put down. But what I need to learn how to do, something maybe that I can track with this channel as well, is I need to learn how to go back in after I lay down the rest of my base and spot conceal like after the fact. Because I was watching, I think her name is Alexandra Anel. One of her videos like kind of recommended doing that as far as laying down your base first and then going back into conceal, kind of mixing the concealer with the colors of where they need to go, as far as maybe it's over your blush or maybe it's over the bronzer part. So you need to mix it with either one of those two. So I think I will go back in a little bit there. The blush going over this will also help mask it too. I think that even looks better. I'm not gonna go too crazy with it. Ooh, another thing this week that kind of inspired me to make another video / get my life well, not really get my life together, but just sparked more creativity, but also was a bad idea for me to do like right when I started my period. Guys, I started Euphoria and it ate up literally my whole week. My eyes were glued to the screen. I finished season 1. Like I said, I made the mistake of starting Euphoria literally the same day that my period started. I wasn't aware. It happened after I already like pressed play. So I didn't have a choice. I was already sucked in. I was an emotional wreck. Like, even though I was just literally drooling over all of the makeup looks, all the outfits, all the hairstyles, like the soundtrack, everything that was going on, I was literally like bawling, like heaving, bawling like a baby. Now, I may have mentioned before that I am a drama queen, but especially when you catch me on my period, and I feel like even if you haven't watched Euphoria, like you've kind of heard that it's heavy. But man, I didn't know what I was getting into. I love it, but it really put me through an emotional roller coaster. But with all that said, whenever I am completely off of my period, I am definitely going back in for season 2. So now we are I'm going to leave my base on to kind of settle. I actually did pretty well with the contouring today, I must say. But we are going to go in for the brows. I've kind of started to do, I guess people call them bratty brows. I don't go too crazy with like slicking them down and all of the hairs like sticking up, but I do kind of like that messy-ish look. So I've been kind of doing that lately. Making them a little furry, like little caterpillars. My eyebrows have always just been very petite, so I like the fact that I can kind of make the illusion of them being thicker. Someone's eyebrows that I've always been jealous of are my little sister. She, not like they were bushy, but hers were always been like super thick. And of course I did, back in the late aughts, early 2010s, when everyone was wanting that really thin eyebrow look, I did over tweeze them a little bit, but still not to there was nothing to really over tweeze in the first place. Why does it look like that? There we go. Those even? Do we consider those even? I think so. All right, add a little bit more concealer underneath the arches and a little bit up here. And I also like to put a little bit of powder on the very inner edges just to make it look a little bit more natural. Onto the blush. Really random, but whenever I mentioned I went to Sephora earlier to get skincare stuff and ILIA and the red lipstick that I'll be using today, things like that, and a guy with beautiful makeup was helping me. You know the like blush look where they carry it up to their temples and it can be like any color, which I have always thought looks so cool, but like in what situation am I gonna be able to wear that and not look completely crazy and out of place? But either way, that shit looked fabulous. It was like this deep kind of like rosy blush color, but it was still a pop, even though it wasn't one of the bright colors that you kind of see with that makeup look sometimes. I love it. It kind of just, I want to try that sometime. He kind of inspired me. I want to try it. Maybe I'll do that some other time for another video. Give yourself a little Rudolph nose for that sun-kissed look. Sweet. Going in with the highlighter. think we have a nice glowy look going. So we are going to spray and set. All right, I think we are good to go. I'm gonna go back in with my mascara. So here is the scary part. The red lipstick. I wanted to try like a bright red, cherry red color. It's the Uncensored Stunna Lip Paint by Fenty Beauty. Also, I haven't really worn liquid matte lipstick in a while, I don't think. I've been more of a gloss girl lately. And I'll also try to resist the urge to put lip gloss over this. Is it one of those things like eyeliner that you just keep fucking up the more you touch it? Ah! So that would be the finished look. I just want to get a full picture here. Let me put these earrings in. I also wanted to show these off. So I went to the farmer's market with some friends yesterday. It's the second week of the local farmers market at the nearby park. That's been, it's the second week that's been open for its regular season. So I've been so pumped because I love that farmers market. There's always so many young families, dogs, really, really kind people. Like literally my friend accidentally left her purse on the ground, just literally on the ground after we had gotten food from a food truck. And she walked away. We were driving away from the park to go to another farmer's market when she realized that she didn't have her purse on her. She had her phone and everything, but she didn't have her keys, her wallet, like nothing. And literally, probably 15, 20 minutes after we had actually left that spot, people were nice enough to tell us that someone had dropped it off at the Lost and Found tent and nothing was taken. And for some reason, I just kind of felt that nothing would be taken just because that park and that farmer's market specifically is always filled with super nice people. But anyway, so these earrings are so cute. I love the pattern on them. It's from this company called Fro & Co. And we actually met the owner slash maker of the jewelry at the farmer's market, and she has an Etsy shop and an Instagram page and all that stuff, and I loved all of the jewelry that was there. I've also been trying to be more adventurous with my jewelry. I just like her style, and she was very, very sweet, so I'll go ahead and connect to her Etsy shop and her social media in the description below. But honestly, the more that I look at myself in the mirror, I think I like the red. But yeah, finished look. So now what we're gonna do, I need to run to the grocery store, pick up some stuff for our little baking sesh later today. So I'll be right back, and you'll see me later in the kitchen. Welcome to my kitchen. So today for our bake up portion of the video, I went ahead and chose a Black Forest cake. I have seen this a ton on the Great British Baking Show. I will say I don't have my good audio equipment out here. It can't be stretched this far, so I probably will go the voiceover route for majority of this. So we're just gonna try this format out and see how it goes, but just taking a journey with me while I bake a cake. So after we have set the oven to preheat at 350 degrees, we're going to take two 9-inch round cake pans, grease and flour them. You'll want to be really tedious about this step. It'll make your life a lot easier later, I promise. Once we've got that done, you're going to line the bottoms of each cake pan with parchment paper. Now we're going to take a large bowl and combine all of our dry ingredients for the cake. So that is going to include 2 1/8 cups of all-purpose flour, 2 cups of white sugar, 3/4 cups of unsweetened cocoa powder, 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder, 3/4 teaspoon of baking soda, and 3/4 teaspoon of salt. Don't mind the pause, I over poured a little bit there, but I fixed it. And then we're going to combine all of those, whisk it all together until combined. Once that's done, you're going to add the wet ingredients, which includes 3 eggs, 1 cup of milk. Had to shake that guy up. Have fun with it, And don't make fun of me for this here. I had a science teacher that really made us make sure to pay attention to the meniscus of liquids, so I've done that ever since. 1/2 cup of vegetable oil, and a tablespoon of vanilla extract. Now we're just going to whisk that up until it is just combined. Only until just combined. We don't want to overmix here. Now we'll just divide the combined combined cake batter into these 2 pans here, trying to make them as even as possible. This was kind of hard to do. I'll probably measure it out in the future. Now we're going to pop these bad boys in the oven once it has fully preheated, and we're going to bake those for around 35 minutes. Once those bake, we're going to drain the cherries for the topping and make sure you reserve 1/2 cup of the juice. We're going to combine that reserved juice, the cherries, and also 1 cup of white sugar, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and I forgot 1/4 cup of cornstarch, so there it is. Now we're going to mix all of that up until it is fully combined. We're going to transfer this over to the oven and cook it at low heat until it's thickened, and make sure to stir it constantly. Didn't say this in the recipe, but I'm going to go ahead and mash these up. I don't like eating full cherries, especially if they come from a can. Once that is thickened up enough, you're going to want to pour it out. And we're going to let this cool at room temperature for around 30 minutes. After that, we're going to transfer it to the fridge to cool completely before we use it. Now, once the cakes are done baking, we're going to run a knife around the edges to loosen it up before we try to tip it out. And yay! I was so happy when I didn't have any issues with that first one. And also the second one came out pretty well too. They smelled so good, you guys. Now, we're making our whipped cream. So to do that, we are going to combine 3 cups of heavy whipping cream with 1/3 cup of confectioner's sugar, And we're going to do this in a chilled bowl and beat it at high speed until it becomes stiff. We all know what whipped cream feels like. Use your brain. One thing that I found really aesthetically pleasing during this process was peeling the parchment paper off of these cakes. Not sure if I'm the only one, but feel free to replay this if you're like me. Now we're going to split each cake in half horizontally using a serrated knife. My cake's kind of dipped in the middle, so that's why you'll see the holes, but honestly, after the whole cake was assembled, you couldn't even really tell. I'm just making room for the one that I deemed to be the base layer, swept all of the crumbs off of it, and transferred it to the cake stand. Now, I tried to find the most decrepit looking layer, and you're going to crumble that one up. It's going to be used for decoration / the outside of the cake. Now for your first layer, you're going to use, the recipe said to spread with 1 cup of frosting, which is the whipped cream frosting, and 3/4 cup of the cherry topping. I believe I did a little bit less whipped cream than called for, but to each their own. It's really just a personal preference. Just make sure that the layers are even all the way around. Second layer, same deal, and top layer. See, we only really had one big broken piece in the middle. Now we're going to frost the sides of the cake. Do this how you like, but I kept it pretty minimal here. And then take those reserved cake crumbs that we crumbled earlier and press them onto the sides of the cake. Try to fill in any gaps you can. Now spread the cake one more time with some whipped cream. Pour some more cherries on there like you did between the layers. And then the recipe instructed to use a pastry bag fitted with the star decorator tip for the decoration. I should have listened. I didn't want to purchase something else, and I thought I'd be able to get away with just piping it with a Ziploc bag with the end cut off, but it looks kind of like toothpaste piles, so, you know, you get what you don't pay for, folks. But regardless of the top, just don't look at those little swirls. It looks pretty good. All right, the moment of truth. That's pretty good. I'm a fan. I was a little wary about this recipe just because I'm typically not a huge fan of a lot of whipped cream, but it helps that it's homemade. Homemade whipped cream is always better. My dad does that a lot too, so I don't know if it's nostalgia or really because it does taste better. And with my cake that I made, I definitely went way lighter on the whipped cream at every stage than what the recipe called for. But it does pair really nicely with the cherries. Another thing that I switched up, I mashed up the cherries instead of keeping them whole. Recipe didn't call for that. I don't like eating whole cherries, especially if they didn't start off fresh. We got these from a can. And again, I like the choice that I made. So the homemade chocolate sponge is really good too. I'll have to make sure that I keep this recipe bookmarked, and I'll link it below. Again, it's an all recipes recipe. But if you liked this video, I hope you guys would subscribe to my channel, like this video, and I hope to see you guys next time. Love y'all. Bye-bye.